A big shout out goes to Maxxis Tires, Jensen USA, and Fox Shocks for supporting the Inside Line. Welcome, mountain bikers.
First podcast.
Wouldn't want to do it with anyone else.
First legit podcast. Vital Empty Beers. I have the pleasure of sitting with my buddy, Lucas DeDora. Yeah, man, this is nuts.
Can't believe it. We're here.
We're doing it live. Tell me about yourself, man.
So I pretty much have been riding bikes ever since I can remember, and we're here now racing World Cups, and we're gonna tell you the story, give you a little bit of a deep dive.
Where'd you grow up? Where you come from?
So we're actually at the Long Island compound right now. I'm born and raised in Long Island, still live here to this day. So when I'm not at the races or anywhere else, I'm here hanging out. Definitely kind of a weird place to live for downhill mountain biking, but make it work. And yeah.
We both grew up around here. You could tell by our matching track we have track suits that match.
Track suit.
It's very New York of us.
Yeah.
That's not the go-to like at school. It's always football, basketball, especially for us, lacrosse. What steered you towards two wheels?
So I mean, when you grow up, you want to be like your dad, and my dad rode bikes when I was younger, and I just wanted to be like him, especially without the older brother or older sibling. There was none of that for me. So you look up to your dad, and
sure.
I just always wanted to be just like him. So I started riding, and I loved it ever since I got on the bike. And he raced at a semi-professional cross-country level, and I wanted, if I told you I didn't want to be a XC racer to start, I'd be lying.
Yeah.
I pretty much raced XC until I was around 9 or 10, and
what was that like?
Is pretty interesting. I wanted to be Nino Schurter in the worst way. That's who I looked up to. That's exactly who I wanted to be.
Nice.
And I don't know, just traveling around just like we do now, but for a different discipline seems weird, but that's what we were doing. So yeah, it was definitely a pretty cool life.
Nice. And at that age, was it locked in as something you want to do, or were you still you're trying to figure yourself out at that age? Were there other things you were interested in?
I did pretty much all the school sports, except for football. I never played football, but I played lacrosse, I played hockey, I played soccer. I did all those sports.
T-ball.
Yeah, I did a bit of baseball, but not super heavy.
We all did a little bit of baseball, I think.
Yeah. But I definitely played lacrosse and hockey pretty hard until I was in middle school.
Okay.
And could have very well done that if I wanted to. It wasn't bad or anything, but there was a point where I 8th grade, kind of around when COVID happened, I just decided that this is what I was gonna do. Couple injuries also played a part, but
I just realized your 8th grade was COVID. My 8th grade was 9/11. That's wild.
Yeah.
That these cataclysmic events happen at that time.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Definitely, for me, I could definitely say that around there was a turning point where I was okay, I want to do this, and this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And we're talking bikes, but I'm curious to know, being a young person your age, what was that like? How did going from not COVID to COVID, what happened in your head? What was life like?
Dude, it was really weird, I'd say. Like, so it happened like at the end of the year for 7th grade for me.
Okay.
So like 8th grade was like a full like mask year, like in and out of school, like hybrid learning kind of thing, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And I'd say like if that didn't happen, some things wouldn't have happened for me, like the way I went about my school life, like after middle school. So, I mean, we can kind of get into that, I guess.
Yeah.
So 9th grade, at the end of 9th grade, I went to my parents and was like, hey, like I want to graduate early so that I could race bikes. Like I want to race World Cups, and I think focusing on your second year junior is super important, as like that's where you got to be top 3, top guy, you know?
Yeah.
If you want to do this. So I set myself up from like, so sophomore year and junior year that were like, junior year was technically my senior year, but I did like kind of a mix of like different years. So I did like a bunch of stuff beforehand so that I didn't have as much to do my junior year to like finish up school.
Yeah. But how does that who do you go? Like, do you go talk to your guidance counselor? Like,
Yeah,
how does that
so-
work? Okay.
So my parents, like, they put it all on me. They were like, listen, if you really want to do this, you're going to have to go talk to them. So I went to my guidance counselor and was like, hey, is this even like a possibility? Like, could I even do this if I wanted to? And he was like, yeah, I mean, you have a lot of the credits already that you would need. So it wasn't like super hard in my, like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was super hard. And so I had to meet with the principal, and he had to like sign off on this thing. I had like a meeting with him. It was really weird. I was like,
Big time.
I was like, and he's like, it was really funny. I was like super nervous about it, and like I like prepared all this stuff, and he was like, he pretty much walked in and was like, yeah, you have pretty good grades. It's no worries. Signed off. And it was like 5-minute thing, but I was like, oh my God, like I have a meeting with the principal.
Yeah.
But
That's sick.
It was funny.
Awesome, man. So, okay. So going, like, I want to backtrack a little bit
Yeah.
because when I started on the hill, I did notice you, I think, towards the end of like doing a lot of the domestic stuff. There was this Lucas DeDora kid, and George told me to keep my eye on you, and I did, and you progressed quite quickly. So talk about, like, I want to know what, like, so you go from XC, what's the next progression?
So I went to Highland Camp. I did a program that they run called Air Academy. And at that point, they ran a Air Academy Junior. I don't know if they run it anymore, but I was 10 at the time. So I was pretty young.
Sorry.
Cracking Monties, dude. No worries.
Just cracking bubs over here.
Cracking Monties, dog. So I went to Air Academy and got to ride with like a whole bunch of pros, like some of the notable ones. Like I rode with Greg Watts, T-Mac, and even some local dudes. Like Dylan Conti was one of my coaches, which was pretty cool. So
Legend.
Local legend, and we're still good homies to this day, and he helps me a lot with everything. So yeah, props to him. But yeah, no. So those are some of the notable names that I got to ride with, and it was like a week sleepaway camp kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we just rode every day, and I had never even been on like a full suspension bike at that point. And I crashed every single day, like smoked. Dude, like I had like this like exosuit kind of thing. Like, you know what you would like rent at a bike park? Like full suit. And I like pulled it out of the locker the first day, and the kid next to me was like, dude, you're really going to wear that? And I was like, nah.
Oh, no.
So I just rode like knee pads and a full face, and dude, I had like, I still have scars to this day from that week. It's crazy. But
oh my God.
Yeah, so that, it pretty much got me hooked. Like on the way home, like when my parents picked me up and everything, I was like, you know, the XC thing is cool, but I'm trying to do this downhill thing.
Yeah.
So from then I got a bike, and I actually started racing enduro like for a little bit. Like I did both, but the crossover was definitely into enduro, and I really liked that because I was still like pretty into like the whole fitness, I guess, thing. And like, I don't know, but it was good for me because I was a pretty fit kid.
Yeah.
And I still was pretty good on the downs. So, and I got to do the downhills. So like, I was stoked with that. So I did a lot of enduros in the beginning. So if you look back on the Roots and Rain, like,
Oh yeah.
I had a bunch of enduros in the beginning. And then, so I kind of just went back and forth racing like through the ESC series. Like I had never really done many like nationals when I was that young. Like I just kind of wanted to like, I was just racing for fun at that point. Like ESC was pretty solid because, you know, you could pretty much race every weekend. Like there's so many events that you could pretty much race every weekend.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And like a bunch of different tracks, like, some good people around, and it was sweet. So I did that for probably up until that like COVID year. That was like my first time doing like a national, maybe that next year, 2022, I'd say.
Okay. So that was all pre-COVID.
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Okay,
So all the ESC racing was like pre-COVID, like the whole switch was pretty.
Okay.
So yeah.
You're already in the mix when COVID.
Yeah. So
okay,
I was racing for a while. Like I just was like super competitive in the whole racing from the XC thing. So I just wanted to race.
Yeah.
And my dad was stoked on racing at that point. So we just used to go to the races, you know, just like the families do these days, and it's sick.
Yeah,
I think that's a sick life, dude. It's awesome. And it's super cool that like the ESC series can like pretty much run that many events. Like it's awesome. So
every weekend.
Yeah, pretty much. So so I did those for like probably 3 years, probably 3 to 4 years. And like the full series, like going for like series championship kind of thing. Like that was always the goal. And then I don't even know why. I can't completely put a finger on why we did this, but I ended up going down to a downhill southeast in snowshoe in 2022, I believe, or 2021, one of those years.
Okay.
And I don't know. Go Dad. 2021, 2022 snowshoe. We'll have him look it up.
It doesn't matter.
He'll look it up. But
we'll check back in.
We'll get the date in a second.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went to one of those. I can't put a finger on exactly why we went, but we went because I guess it was snowshoe, you know, World Cup track. Yeah. This is sick. Like, and downpoured the entire time. Muddiest thing I've ever ridden. Scariest thing I've ever ridden to this day. Like,
bottom section.
Insane. Like rock garden at the bottom is hairy.
Dude.
It's loading. All right. 2021. This is
Roger.
2021. First downhill southeast. I didn't even make it to the race. I ended up the second day of practice. I ended up going into like the bottom rocks and just dabbing a foot.
Oh no.
And long story short, I ended up tearing my ACL from that.
Yeah.
A little bit of a backstory on the ACL though. So I had a prior ACL injury. I was playing hockey and I got hit and my foot went into the boards like just straight and just hyperextended.
Yikes.
So I had like they called it a bulging fracture of the tibial spine.
Okay.
So I had that, I got surgery, and then like healed, but like, you know, when they mess with the ACL, it kind of gets weak or whatever. So when I went to that race and I ended up dabbing the foot, it snapped the ACL completely.
Oh.
So I kind of went to my orthopedic, and at the time I had a different one than I do now. She pretty much was like, oh, you know, it's just post surgery, like hurting.
Right.
Which I was like, all right, whatever. Like I was a kid, dude.
Yeah.
I had no care in the world about pain at that point. Like I didn't matter.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to 2 weeks later. I ended up going to like the national champs, gravity national champs at Winter Park. That was
Yep.
So that one, and I didn't go with my parents. It was a pretty funny story how that came about. I wasn't gonna go. There wasn't like any inkling to go at all. Like it wasn't like, oh, we're going to national champs.
Yeah.
So you guys probably know the Millers, Riley and Simon Miller.
Yeah.
So I was really good friends with Simon when we were younger, and he was like, oh, dude, we're going to national champs, you should really come. Like, we're driving there and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, sick. And like I didn't really think much of it because like it's just from Simon. I'm like, oh, like I can't actually go. But then his dad ended up hitting up my dad, and I ended up driving out there with him. And that was my first experience, I guess, being away from my parents in racing.
Okay.
So that was like pretty big one, and just like a big trip. Like we were there for like 2 weeks. It was like a 2-week thing.
Oh wow. So
it was heavy. Like
okay.
Cross country driving is pretty gnarly.
What was that like? Let's go through it. What was that like? I mean,
so it was the Miller's mom, Westerly, and then Riley and Simon. So we took Simon's dad's truck. He had like a big what do you call it? Toyota.
The Tundra.
The Tundra. He had like a big like long bed Tundra, like huge bed. It was sick.
Big Daddy.
Yeah, huge. Yeah. So we had like 10 bikes going off the back. So we had like 6 on like just like the pad, and then like 4 on the rack.
Yeah.
So there was 10 bikes, and then like it was filled to the brim. Like it was insane. So like all the stuff was in the back of the bed, like bunch of bins and stuff. It was crazy. Like didn't look like a setup that you should be going cross country with, but you know, it was sick. Like we were loving it. It was great. Westerly is an absolute champ. She drove the entire way. Whoa. So yeah, like I think we got there in like 3 days. So not like terrible for like to Colorado from like they picked me up in Albany, like around New York, Albany area.
Yeah.
So like pretty far drive. And so dude, I think we were in Nebraska. Like the only really like notable thing was we were in Nebraska and we ended up getting a flat tire.
Yeah.
And like this is when you're like the middle of the country, like nothing's going on, like
just flat
nothingness. Like there's literally nothing anywhere. And so we pulled over, and like we ended up, we just thought it was low kind of thing. So we like filled it up, and then like we pulled out, and we ended up like it ended up going completely flat, and we were just like riding on rim for a bit.
Yeah.
So she pulled up into like a truck stop, and we had to unload the whole thing.
Oh no.
So unloaded like everything.
Oh my god.
And
to jack it up.
Yeah, to jack it up and change the tire. So Tundras, dude, the worst thing to change a tire ever. Had like the craziest thing to get the tire, like the spare to come out. It was like a ratchet thing coming in from like the back. It was nuts. So we're like have like barely any service. We're like FaceTiming Eric, Simon and Riley's dad. Like, how do we, like, where is this thing? Like, no idea where any of the jack stuff is, and no clue.
Yeah.
So we got that done. We were probably there for like 4 hours. Like, it was like, dude, but the gnarliest thing, dude, no trucker until we were like literally done even came up to us, and we were like in a full car. I was like, dude, come on. Man. It's like a lady and 3 kids, like with 10 bikes, just sitting. Their whole life looks like it's on the ground. It was gnarly, but it's no worries. Yeah. So it was good life experience though. Like, thankful for that one. It was great. So got that done. Ended up making it to Colorado, safe and sound. All the bikes made it. Everything made it. It was all good. So I guess so that was my first like national race. Was U.S. National Champs 2021.
I mean, did that, being far from home and not with your normal setup with, dad with you and stuff like that, I mean, did that play a part into how you performed?
I performed pretty good. I ended up 3rd. So that was pretty sick. I performed really good. I did not think the bike was going to make it through that weekend.
Okay.
So I had no like mechanic. My dad had always worked on the bike, so I kind of just went over there like, I guess we'll see. I'll ask people and we'll do my own thing. But it was definitely loose program, but a couple of things broke. And actually George, my team manager now, is he actually helped me out at that race. He I bent my top cap somehow, like just cranking down on the headset somehow. Like I'm a hack on the tools, dude.
Oh my Lord.
I'm a hack on the tools. So he gave me a top cap, got me race ready-ish. So like that, props to George. And so we but that was like that was like my first experience with anybody like out west, because it was just me and Simon from the East Coast pretty much. So like it was like Asa was like there now, Ryder and Fred and a couple other dudes that were just coming up, and you know, and nobody really knew who Asa was at that point either. So that was like pretty cool to see. He ended up winning that race. He absolutely smoked us. You know, average day on the hill, but I was pretty stoked. So I got third. I was stoked to go home with a Vans tee and flat pedals on Go P3. I was stoked at Natty Champs. So that was like definitely a turning point, I think, too, like with just racing, where I was like, okay, downhill is pretty sick. Like this is cool. Okay. And I can compete with the kids that are out west that have the big sponsors and the cool kits. But yeah.
Were they ever like encouraging, like I don't know how I want to say this, like were they ever like planting the seed in your head to like keep going, like the people around you, or was it mostly?
Yeah, I mean, like I always knew that like I wanted to do something in bikes, and like that was like something like that I really loved and that I wanted to pursue it in whatever level or whatever. Like I always loved racing and just wanted to like continue doing that as long as I could. And I mean, like my parents like never forced me into anything, or like were like, oh, you should do this, like this, that, like all this thing. Like it was always like my decision to race and like ride. Like I was always pushing my dad to go ride. Like I wanted to go ride, Yeah. So, but yeah, like I'd say like some guidance was definitely like around. Like people definitely saw like that we were pretty good. Like the kids coming up were pretty good, and everybody wanted to see that, especially like on the local level. Like people were pretty encouraging, I'd say. Like they were like, yeah, like you guys should definitely keep doing this. Like it's good. And yeah, so
Cool. Next up, where'd you go from there?
Hold on.
Yeah, bring it back.
I completely forgot. So I
run it back.
I actually, so like going back to the ACL thing.
Yeah.
I went to that race with a torn ACL. So I didn't know that, like, they didn't do an MRI because my doctor was like, oh, like,
Oh my God.
So like.
So if that, oh dude, that could have knocked out at any time.
Well, no, it was gone. Like I had no ACL the whole time. Like it was just like, it's one of those things that like you can kind of like, once it's done, it doesn't like necessarily hurt.
Right.
Or at least in my case, I couldn't tell you what anybody else feels, but like I didn't have an ACL for that entire summer.
Yeah.
And I raced the entire summer. Like,
dude, that's not, I mean, what I was saying is it could have popped out.
Oh yeah. Like the knee. Yeah. For sure. Like it always felt like, I always kind of told my parents, I was like, it doesn't feel great, but I don't know if there's anything wrong really.
Oh, man.
And like we kind of went back and forth with the doctor, and she was like, no, like this is how it's gonna go, like whatever.
Yeah.
And we ended up like kind of at the end of the summer, like going and getting an MRI through a different orthopedic, who is my orthopedic to this day. He's done all my surgeries except for that first one.
Good.
The homie Pacey, shout out
Pacey,
shout out Dr. Pacey, homie. So I ended up getting that, and I was still pretty young at that point. So like getting an ACL surgery done is not like normal by any means when you're that young.
No.
So he was definitely pretty like, gave us all the options of like what grafts you can do and everything. And
was it orthoscopic, or did they cut you open? Oh,
it was orthoscopic. So they actually took from my hamstring to use to the graft. So it's actually like, they say it's like 3 times stronger or whatever. So like that's cool.
That's cool, man.
And I've had no issues since. So
yeah,
fingers crossed.
Awesome. Yeah, but, I got pig knuckle, but at least you have something that came from you. I don't know the pig that I have.
Pig knuckle. Be like, yo, dude, I need to hang that pig up on the wall.
Oh God, shut up. All right.
All right, we'll come back now. So after Natty Champs, kind of just went back to like doing ESC things, and like kind of just raced the end of the rest of the year, like pretty much full ESC. There was I think there was one the last like pro GRT, they called it, like the US at Creek.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The last one that
yep.
they had was in 2021, I believe. So that was like another national that I did after that. And
how'd you do there?
I think it was like 5th or something.
That's
so it was
good.
pretty solid. Like all the kids that like there was definitely some quick kids on the East Coast at that point too. Like Colton was really fast at that point. He's still an absolute G, but
Rips.
you know, so he was really fast. I think he was like 2nd or something. And then there was also a kid I was battling over here, Colin Bork, who was really good. He was like right above me or something. And then so like it was solid at that point. I think it was like a 15 to 16 kind of thing, maybe, or 14, 13, 14. Probably 14. Yeah.
Those classes are so the what is it? 15, 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
It's such a hard, heavy hitting. Everybody is so fast.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I love watching you guys.
Oh yeah. So my dad just reminded me though. So that was when they did the U17 class. So they didn't actually have anything in Cat 1 that was like leveled out. So it
was like an open.
That was when we were racing Pinkerton. So I raced Pinkerton at that race, and I remember now. So I got 8th at that race then. 8th at that one. 8th at that race. Okay. I remember completely now. Okay. I got 8th at that race, and Pinky won. I remember my dad was like in the rock garden or whatever, and he was like, dude, I cannot believe that you just raced that kid, because he went through this section better than anybody on the hill. So props to Pinky, you know. Anyway, so Pinky won that race. Like, there wasn't even, I don't even think Asa showed up to that one.
I don't remember.
I don't think he was there.
No.
Yeah, no, he wasn't there.
No.
So Pops is on the fact check over there, you know.
Good.
But so I got 8th at that race, like pretty solid, like for a 17, as I was 14 at that time.
Dude, yeah.
So I was stoked with that, I think. And home-ish race, like Mountain Creek's the home mountain, so that was cool. But so then from there, just finished out ESCs. Like there wasn't much else going on at that point. I think there was plans to go to the US Open that was in Cali, but it got canceled because of the forest fires and stuff.
Yeah.
So that sounds about right.
Okay. When did you start going down south?
So I started going down south pretty much. Man, I didn't really do many. No. Yeah. So the next year, I really just did like the national stuff. Like I did ESC and nationals. Never really did any down southeast. Like I think I may have done the first one that was at Creek, like the Mountain Creek one.
Yeah.
It was like pretty early in the season, I think, like kind of like May-ish.
Yeah.
And ended up I think I crashed there. Like there's a pretty hectic video on the internet from that one, like full front flip status.
Another one. You're pretty good at those, dude.
At Fort William. No, sorry, no worries. Plug.
Did we hit 1 million? 1 million views?
Oh, dude, it's at like 4 million.
Oh, jeez, man. Well, go and brush your shoulders off. Huh?
100K likes. Yeah.
That's sick. All right, no more front flips though, seriously.
No.
Come on.
Chilling.
All right.
Yeah, so that was probably the beginning of 2022 then. Yeah. So 2022. So I was racing 15, 16 at that point. Mm-hmm. Is all that kind of came around. So I crashed at that race, and then right after was the Pro GRT, like literally the weekend after or something like that. And
You're good.
You want to chuck up like roots and rain?
No, fact checking.
Yeah. So like that. So I think there was like I'm pretty sure there was a national right after that. Yeah. Okay. So there was a national right after that. And that is the one that I got 5th at. So that was like when it was like 15, 16. Like here we are. Yeah. This is the classes now, and this is how it is. So
what did you feel like okay, I've arrived? Like
because when you're like the younger in the class, like if you can get in that top 5, like that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Like especially the U.S. national scene's pretty solid. So, especially at that point, like if you look at the kids that were on the podium, they're still heavy hitters to this day. So, like that was when like Asa started coming over to like the more national stuff, and so he won that race, and then Colton was second.
Hubbard.
Yeah, Colton Hubbard was
Okay,
second.
Yeah.
Third. Who was third? Eton Brevard.
Oh, what a shredder.
What a dude.
What
Eton.
a shredder.
And then it was Colin, and then it was me.
Bork. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually pretty young podium.
I was gonna
except
say, isn't he? Is he 2 years younger than you, or 1 year? Colin.
He's a year older than me.
Colin Bork. Oh, okay.
Year older, yeah.
My bad, Colin.
Yeah, nah.
My bad.
Nah. Yeah, no, he's a year older than me.
Okay.
So it was pretty much just him and Eton that were the older ones of that podium, but
Still, that's
it's proper. And I mean, with the kids that are up there, it's sick.
Dude, that's
So yeah, I did, and then I did U.S. Nationals again. Like it was back at Winter Park that year.
I didn't go. Yeah, I've never been there.
It's hectic out there, dude.
A lot
big
of pedaling.
Big altitude, and no, the pro track is like pretty sweet. I think like it's kind of one line, but it's cool. Like if you could push it, it's sick. But
Yeah.
it's long, like it's proper long track.
A little off the cuff. I've never been out to Colorado. You going there and just looking around. Do you think we could have like a crazy like
Dude, I mean,
race series out there?
I think they could have a World Cup out at Purgatory, from what I've heard.
Right.
Like, I mean,
I've heard
Ace
that too.
is the local there, and I'm pretty good friends with him, so he talks about it a bunch, and
Yeah.
he says that like that place is the closest thing that you can pretty much get to while you ride out there, like in the U.S.
Huh.
Now, I haven't been there personally.
Okay.
I'd love to go. I'll probably go at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah. So like there's definitely some.
Like proper mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
Yeah,
jeez, man.
Yeah, there's like there could definitely be some races out there.
Okay, let's get back to you just did that last national.
Yeah.
We don't have to do obviously your whole pre
for sure.
history, but okay. When did the first inklings of you either thinking of World Cups or knowing or trying to go that route? When did that start happening?
So it was actually right after 2022. So that was like the first time I was like, hey, like, so I was talking to my dad, like as a normal, or my parents, like my mom as well. Like she's been a super big part of my career, and especially my dad and my mom, like everybody.
Yeah, they're turret.
Yeah, like incredible people. So
yeah, awesome.
Props to them. Always wouldn't be here without them. So
nope.
I definitely brought it up at some point. Was like, hey, like I think we probably start looking at this. Like it's definitely something that you need to plan ahead. I think like know what you're gonna do, like before you get there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to race them. I just didn't know the best route in. Like I wouldn't say that like my strong suit was like just having connections in the industry at that point. Like I think like I didn't have any like crazy sponsors at that. I was just pretty much like full like hook it rider, like, running off of like percent off or whatever, which is sick. Like,
yeah,
as you go. But, there's a stepping stone to everything. So that's where, at the end of that year, that's where George Gomes actually hit me up about pro builds. And I had always known pro builds throughout the ESC racing and like how their program was ran. So like I actually always admired it. Like I really thought that was like a cool thing to be on, like having a kit and team and little pit was cool. Like that was like something as a kid, you're like, oh, that's crazy. Like that's super cool. So when he hit me up, like I was definitely interested, and I definitely talked about my dad about it, and like he was like, hey, like I mean, that was when Valentina was kind of coming onto the scene and was going to the World Cups, and my other friends from the Northeast were on the team at the time, and they were going to the World Cups as well. Driscolls.
Oh, yeah.
The Driscolls were on the team. So they were going to the World Cups as well. So I was like, oh, that's like a way to get there. Like that's a way from not having many connections to get like any kind of funding or sponsors or anything like that to get there. So I definitely, so I ended up signing with him for 2 years. So I was 15, like I was going into my 16 year season. So like I was the higher of the 15, 16. So I was 16 at that year.
Okay.
So I signed with him for that year, which was last year only, which is crazy. Like you think so much has happened, but
I mean, yeah.
But so I signed with him for that and got on the bike in the earliest I ever have, like downhill bike wise. So
yeah.
Like he definitely showed me like what you have to do to be prepared for a season, and pre-race prep is very important because like unless you're going down south, like you're not riding your downhill bike up north like during the winter, like mostly. So there's a place near him, probably an hour from him, Mount Penn. It's Nico's spot, actually, Nico Mullally's spot. So that's like his home turf, like from when he was coming up and when he didn't live down south. So it's in Pennsylvania. And so that's where we kind of went and just did laps and just get used to the bike, a base setup, and just riding, which is just good. Just downhill bike riding is like, I think, really important before the season, just to be like, all right, I'm racing now.
Yeah.
You know, I think a bunch of people get on the downhill bike at the first race and it doesn't end well. So,
yeah,
you know, just that bike time alone is pretty awesome. So that year, and we started this season at TTC, which is like, you know, the staple first race. Mudder.
It's a rough one. Yeah. Yeah.
Mudder, cold, rainy, as always. But I track's pretty solid. Like, I think it's a good first track of the year. Like,
dude, you had a move on that S turn. Do you remember doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, there's like an S turn that like takes everybody out, especially if it's like muddy. It's just so slick. You just see people like water sliding down it, and then Lucas just like jumped over it. Like I was like, okay, we might have something here, but yeah, that was cool.
So with George being in the program, that was my first introduction to like any kind of like line coaching either.
Yeah.
So George being on track was definitely like something new to me, and I definitely was like a sponge at that point. And was like, I need to listen to everything that this dude's telling me.
Yeah.
So I thought that was super helpful, like as a still like trying to find a racecraft. Not that like we're there yet, but you know, we're working on it. Yeah. So, you know, that was definitely like a big part of like the start of like the like, okay, we're building and we're getting to be better. So that was one of my first pro races, like that I actually like signed up for pro.
Yeah.
So that year, and I ended up 5th at that one, which is sick.
Yeah.
Like I was like, there were some pretty solid dudes there, and I was like, damn, I got 5th. That was dope. So I was pretty stoked with that. And yeah, so I just brought that confidence throughout the year and kind of did mostly downhill southeast at that point.
Because you went to what, Tennessee National?
I did Tennessee National at that point. I did what is it, Rock Creek? Yeah. The down southeast snowshoe.
Yeah. Did you sneak in any ESCs?
Yeah, I did. I did a couple. I think I did Jiminy Peak. I did Jiminy Peak that year, and maybe one other, but I think I actually did an enduro, just randomly.
Still keep those legs moving, baby.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll give you the reason why I went to the enduro, but I ended up doing it down southeast at Windrock, and breaking my wrist in practice, like pretty minor, like nothing crazy. It was just like I don't even remember the bone. That's how much it doesn't matter. It's whatever.
Jeez.
So it was like a 2-week thing, whatever. So I actually just raced the enduro just to like make sure I could like ride.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going down to snowshoe for the down southeast and snowshoe. And that one, that was all dry, so we were dialed. Like, it was sick. That track was sick. And
How are the rocks in the dry?
oh, dude, that track, I love that track when it's dry. Like, it's sick. It's proper good track when it's dry. Like, that was a cool race to do. It was pretty much just like everybody was at the World Cup, so it was pretty much just me and Asa at that one. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
So we got so I ended up getting like second to him. I was pretty far back, but it's all good.
Before we go forward, what's it like? I know you guys are buddies, and I hung out with you guys a couple times. What's it like being friends with Asa?
Oh, it's the best. He's probably the best kid that you can have in his situation.
Right.
Like I mean, I don't really know anybody like this, but if he was like a kind of a dick or be kind of an idiot, like, it wouldn't be awesome. But like, he's probably the nicest kid you'll ever meet on the hill. Like, super down to talk to pretty much anybody. Probably has the biggest like heart on the circuit. So like, he's a really good dude. And I mean, it's definitely like kind of weird, like when you're like walking up a side of the track and people are asking to take pictures with him, and you're like, what the hell? But
yeah,
it's sick. I'm stoked for him.
Well,
taking a couple of pictures for the kid.
Yeah. Well, I'm stoked for you because I've told this to many people, but other than pros that are older than him, the only person I see that follows him is you, and that says something.
Yeah, I mean, I try and pick up on what he does. They say like one of his biggest things is like his self-confidence is like just super high. Like, he knows, like, there's no doubt in his mind that he can't do something, like, or can do something. Like, he knows that he could do it, kind of thing.
Does he ever like say like, no, I can't, this might not be?
I don't think I've ever heard that.
That's hilarious.
I don't think I've ever heard those words come out of his mouth. But no, he's
cool,
the homie.
Yeah, it's a good, I just love the dynamic of you guys hanging.
It's sick to have like just somebody like at the races, or just somebody that you can talk to at like literally anywhere you go. And
you're like-minded. You're a very good person. That anybody doesn't know, Lucas is salt of the earth. So it's just cool, man.
It's awesome.
All right. So where'd you go next?
Broke my wrist to snowshoe, second to Asa. And then after that, we went to Natty Champs, I believe. National Champs at Rock Creek.
Rock Creek. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a pretty interesting one. We our bikes got recalled for an issue that they had. So we had to ride trail bikes with dual crowns. So that was an interesting one. Kind of got the notice like a week in advance.
Was that a mullet as well?
Yeah. So I set up the Spire, like the 170 bike, as close as I could to what I was running.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like I had like a week's notice, and me and George built up the bike, and we went to Mountain Creek and did some testing, and it wasn't too bad. Like, obviously, like, I wasn't like super stoked on it, but like, gotta be
malleable.
Yeah, one of those words.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we raced, went to Rock Creek. I raced slalom. I got like second in slalom, which was sick.
Oh yeah, that was badass.
Yeah, it was sick.
Yeah, nice job.
Yeah, it was
nice.
Sick. I don't really slalom that much, but I just rode George's like XC bike, which was sick. So
that's awesome.
So I put that on the podium, and then the next day, I was practicing. It was the last practice run before qualifying for the downhill race, and I ended up crashing and tearing my labrum.
That's right.
So I crashed, kind of knocked my shoulder out a bit, like wasn't like super out, but I kind of got it back in on the side and was like, all right, let's try and ride. And like, just knew right away that was not going to happen. Like, I went off like one little drop, and I was like, no. So one of those, rode down the road, slept on it, like broke the beam just so that I could, like, at the US races, it's pretty nice. Like, I don't have to qualify, so I can kind of break the beam and be the first one down tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I broke the beam just so that I could race tomorrow if I wanted to, or if I could.
Mm-hmm.
So did some icing, KT tape, tried to do like a warm-up run in the morning and just like made it down the green trail barely and was like, yeah, I'm not going down this trail right now, like having the shoulder come out. So I just called it there. Went home, went to my orthopedic and like got a bit of an estimate on what we could do, like whatever. And he pretty much was like, yeah, like we'll put you in a shirt that like is like compression shirt that would like hold everything back, so that you could do whatever. And so I ended up like trying to ride a little bit, and just like not really feeling it. Like I didn't have anything to lose, like it was not, or didn't have anything to gain really through the end of the season. It was just one race left, which kind of sucks. Like US Open was kind of one that you want to show up to and race. So I ended up missing out on that with torn labrum, so I didn't race. Got surgery like before that though, so I was like pretty well into the recovery by then, which was super nice. Like I was pretty into it, like, and I was good by this time last year. So November, October, like the end of October. So it wasn't like, it was like a 3-month thing. So I was pretty much back on the bike in November, which was good. Back on the bike into like the weight room, which was new for me.
Well, how was that?
It was super good. Like I wouldn't say it was new. Like I did work with a trainer before. It was mostly after my collarbone the year before. I broke my collarbone the year before at the end of the year, like something BS, like no worries. So I broke it and I ended up like
fucking hilarious.
The issue that I have is like with PT is that I go to PT and I do all the surveys and stuff, and they give you an amount of like sessions based on like how you're doing, not based on like where you actually are in the recovery. So once you're to like a point where you can like function as a regular person, like, okay, you can go to the grocery store, pick up a gallon of milk and do this and stuff, right?
Yeah.
No worries. They kind of just like send you out the door. And it's not the PT place's fault. It's like the insurance kind of thing, but you know,
that's how it is.
It sucks. So I have that issue because I'm pretty solid at like dealing with pain and getting out of a situation I don't need to be in. Yeah. So I got out of PT pretty quick, and I needed something to like continue that, but I didn't want to like paying for PT is like pretty ridiculous. Yeah. It's like a lot. So I ended up going to a local trainer that actually trained wrestlers. So a guy under Pullman Performance. So his name is Eric Pullman.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that was cool. So I went to his little spot and pretty much like continued shoulder surgery, but also went into like other forms of, shoulder PT, but went into other forms of like training. So like just kind of giving me like a baseline of like form and how to bench press or how to squat or how to do a like all this stuff, you know, just like giving you a baseline on what you could do in the gym, I guess. Yeah. So he was super cool. So I worked with him pretty much the whole winter. So I did do like a good amount of weight training the year before, but
Did you wrestle?
No, I wish, dude. I wish I was like that gangster to wrestle, dude.
Or jiu-jitsu or something?
No, it would be sick.
That would have been sick.
It was cool, dude. It was like his setup was like, there was like wrestling mats to the left. So like some of the workouts we did were on the wrestling mats, and then there was like a little weight room area. It was sick. It was a cool setup.
Nice.
So I worked with him for that year. And then the next year after the labrum,
we're going into 2023. Okay.
2020. No,
24. The beginning of 24.
24, yeah.
Now we're going in the beginning of 24.
Yeah, so I hit up, me and my dad were kind of going through the options of like trainers and stuff. We kind of went through all like the pretty known names of people in the industry. Yeah. Ended up hitting up Chris Calmurray. So he works for the FMD as a track coach / like just coach. And you know, he's
the real deal.
Proper dude. So he ended up like giving me a program, like nothing crazy, like kind of similar deal. Like I needed something to continue my like PT, but you know, whatever, and beyond. So he gave me like a pretty like bland thing that was good for me, like for that. So I have like a home gym and got everything done there. And so yeah, I worked through his program for that winter or last winter.
This past winter,
last winter.
Yeah.
Going into the 2024 season, which would be the first World Cup year.
Okay. So
guess where we started? TTC.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
But prior to that, so you were saying you're talking to your dad about like options about like how it could play.
Yeah.
Okay. And continue.
How like World Cups could play.
Yeah, or like you were, I guess, seeing like how that could be done, or like
where. Okay, I can. Yeah, so I worked with George throughout my 15-16 year, so my last 15-16 year.
Yeah.
And so he also manages transition factory racing. So it kind of had a semi in with that, and ended up kind of creating a deal where I could go to the races and stay with them and be with them at the races. So stay with the factory team with you, Jack, and Nick, and and Richie and Joakim and all the boys. So
Richie.
So so that is kind of ended up how it happening. I raced under the Gravity Collective. They put me on the roster as a favor to George kind of thing. So,
but why did they have to do that?
Well, so it was mostly just so I didn't have to petition to each race. But yeah. So just to take that element out of it is pretty nice. Like nothing to worry about, because they don't really give you much notice when you petition to a race. So it'll be like a week's notice, which is not great when you're trying to commit to a full season. It's like a week or two notice, and you have to like kind of figure everything out beforehand, and you don't even know if you're going to be able to go yet.
Yeah, tickets bought, and you're just like holding your breath kind of thing.
Yeah, so I talked to my dad, and I really wanted to take that element out of it. Like there was no stress that I was going to be able to go to every single one, and there was going to be people there, and there was going to be food on the table kind of thing. That was like just something I wanted. That was for me and for my parents too. Just like knowing that he's going to go over there and there's going to be people there.
Yeah.
And, he's going to be fed and stuff. So, so that happened. Shout out to Corey, of course, for, ended up putting me on the roster. Corey from Gravity Academy. So he put me on the roster, and I raced under that umbrella for the first half of the year. But yeah, so.
Okay. All right. When you show up at your first World Cup, walk me through it. Like from the sights and sounds to the stats to the.
I mean, it's pretty surreal. Like I've been to U.S. World Cups and stuff, so like you kind of get a taste of what it's gonna be like. Obviously, a lot of fans at the U.S. and like North America World Cups, which is sick. Like always some proper fans, but the like you don't see like semi trucks with teams and like it's just like it's a whole new thing when you're in a different country too, I think.
Yeah.
And it's just like that was my first time out of the US was Fort William. So
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was my first, like never even been to Canada kind of thing. Like straight to Fort William.
You're like me, dude.
Straight to Scotland, dude. So Scotland was my first country. But yeah, so Scotland, Fort William showed up, was pretty like nervous. I mean, scared, nervous. I don't know how to explain it. Like it was
anxious.
Yeah. Like I knew that like I could be there and that there was like, I belong there to a point. But like, until you do it, you're like, oh, Jesus, this is a World Cup, this is not a U.S. national anymore.
No.
So we went up and we did track walk and everything, and the track is not like super like hard to ride there necessarily. Like you can pretty much anybody could ride down that track. Like it's not the worst thing ever. But
racing.
But racing that track is probably like one of the scariest things I've ever done.
Really?
Like, dude, it's so, dude, the speed that you have to go to be up there with the boys in that track is like mental.
Yeah.
Like it's, yeah, no, that track is gnarly. Like I mean, it didn't help. I have like a huge grass I can run, but.
It was a viral crash, so you know.
Cheers, Vital.
Gang. Do you think that being like such a long, like physical track, and to do it the first round, did that like kind of set the tone in your head? Like,
yeah,
okay, this is what it's gonna be, and then like, did any other tracks surprise you as like, oh, this is I like this one? Or
So Fort William, like I think was like definitely like different to what I've ever ridden.
Oh yeah.
Like it's unlike anything you're gonna ride. So like that upper part just being out of the woods and in the open with no trees and stuff, everything, it's really hard to like figure out where you are and what's going on. So
even like depth perception, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
okay.
that whole thing, but also it just being a World Cup and like and
the pressure,
and you're there, and like I mean I'll give you a little story. Like I mean pretty much everybody's seeing the crash, but I crashed my second run, and second run is literally the first rock garden of the track, and I got up and literally every single line coach on the circuit was at the spot. Jack was there. Pretty much everybody was there.
Yeah, I was pretty angry at you.
So I went over the bars, had a huge crash kind of thing, went off the track and was like scoping out like what I actually just did.
Yeah.
And like the biggest thing I remember was Steve P coming up to me and he's like, "You all right, mate?" And I was like, he's like, "That was a hugie. You all right, mate?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." I was like, "That's Steve P. What the hell?" But one of those, and then like,
oh my god,
yeah, and then Chris Calmurray actually rolled in, and he wasn't actually there for it, but he saw the video and he was like, "Well, brought yourself to Fort William. Welcome
welcome to the World Cup."
Yeah, so one of those, but yeah, so just the crashing, it was pretty heavy there.
Yeah.
But
how'd that race go for you overall?
I'd say it was definitely a success. I mean, my goal was to make it in. Like that's all I really wanted to do. There was no real expectation for like, this is the result I need. Like I just wanted to make it in and see what happened the next day.
Yeah.
So I put down a run in qualifying, ended up 22nd. So kind of made it in by the skin of my teeth, which is cool. But next day was pretty emotional. Like I was dropping in for my first World Cup race. Like this is heavy, you know?
Yeah.
So I
what's that like being in that specific scenario?
it was pretty awesome. Like my dad was actually at that one. He wrenched on my bike for that one.
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome for me. Like my dad was at the top of the race, at the top of the track when I dropped in. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's your number one fan.
Yeah. So that was cool. It was cool to watch a video of him getting a bit emotional too, which was cool. Just me getting down and, you know, everything. So that was awesome. So, and just that place in general, so much history there. So it's like, it's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, just making it down that track is awesome. Or just getting to put tires on the dirt there is just like an honor, I think.
Yeah, I'll say seeing you going through the finish arches is like, I needed that shot. You know what I mean?
Special.
I was like, my boy Lucas is here and it's so sick. So.
I was cooked. that track was heavy, dude. That was heavy. But so I made it out. Got 17th at that one, so that was pretty solid. Like it was cool. Got some points. Gave me a bit of confidence. Like I was like, all right, you know, I'm here. I can race. I could be competitive.
Yeah.
And then we went to a new venue.
Yeah.
Poland. Yeah. So that was pretty awesome. We spent a good amount of. I think for me that was the most time I spent in a country. I think. because I went home a bunch and had to do school. So
we'll get to that later.
yeah.
But yeah.
So that was the most time I spent in like one country. So we were there like a week prior.
Yeah. What do you think? I know y'all played a lot of pool. We had a pool table in the house, but
like, I mean, dude, even just like the trip over. I mean, for you guys, it was pretty horrible. I mean, for you and George, it wasn't awesome. But
I wouldn't. Yeah.
but we don't have to go into that.
No, it was a long drive. Let's just put it that way.
For me, we ended up flying from Scotland to Munich,
and then driving,
and then we drove to Poland. So it's like 8 hours, like through Czechia,
Prague. You guys went through Prague.
We went to Prague.
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome. Like I'm not like one for like being like a tourist guy, but that was definitely a pretty cool spot to be.
Heck yeah.
So we got to go there with like pretty much the whole team, which was sick. And then we drove through, ended up in Poland. I'd say it's pretty similar there to like upstate New York, or you know, like it's not like not huge mountains, but like it's cool and everybody's pretty chilled. It's not like, you know, the people aren't like crazy. I mean, the only thing that was an issue for me was that they all thought I was like Polish. So,
you're very,
because I look European.
You fit right in. It was great. It was awesome.
So like everybody else, they'd just be speaking English to, and then I'm like, dude, what? Come on, man. But so that was that I really liked it there. It was super cool. Like we played a lot of pool. Our house was really good. I saw we had a solid house.
That was great.
Sick
we were
house.
right across street from the venue.
Yeah.
It was pretty sweet.
Shout out Rachel for the bookings. You know?
Yeah.
It was sick.
Clutch. Absolutely
sick.
clutch.
Yeah.
But what it like even like riding around there?
Oh yeah. Like honestly reminded me a lot of the US, like pretty not like super steep, but like, you know, it gets steep in some spots, but like the dirt was pretty similar. The only thing that like I guess you don't get out there is like the rocks that we get here. Like there wasn't any like crazy rock thing or rock garden or anything.
Right.
But it was pretty much just like a fresh cut track, which is like pretty sweet to ride just like that first day before it rained.
Yeah.
But like first tracks on that track were pretty insane. Like it's like a flow line halfway, so it was sick.
Yeah.
But
how'd you do there?
I qualified 12th, so I was stoked with that. I was like, oh, all right, 12th, and then I finished 9th, so that was
top 10.
That was super good. But I think one of my bigger takeaways from that one is I end up 3rd in the last split. So from the last split to the bottom, I was 3rd in junior. So like 3rd best time in that split. I was stoked with that.
Yeah.
And like
confidence. Inspiring.
Yeah. So that was like, you know, I like looking at the splits and just seeing where you're at, like out of everyone in this certain section. And that was like definitely a standout for me. I was like, oh, all right. Like that's something. So I went off of that for sure. And, went home after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went, we all did.
That was our first
it was like a little break.
A minor break.
It was like 2 weeks.
Yep.
2 weeks. So we went home because I had to go in and take some tests at school or something like that. Especially that was like one of the main things was I had to go and do something at school. So that's why I went home, and that's why we didn't stay for schladming and stuff.
Yeah, but that wasn't your break where you did a lot of stuff. Okay, all right. No. So next, we went to
Mountain Creek, or I went to Mountain Creek.
You went to Mountain Creek.
I went to Creek. Yeah.
Yep.
So I went to Creek, which was a pro downhill series. Race pros. Sick track there, like something different that we don't normally ride there, which is sweet. End up like 4th with like some pretty heavy jet lag, just like everybody else that was coming from the World Cups, but you know,
heavy hitters though still.
Yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, so there was some solid dudes there. It was sick.
Yeah,
like, it was a good race. So yeah, and then I was home for like not even a week. I think I went to school like for like 3 to 4 days, because I got home Monday from Creek and then went for like 3 days and then had to leave again.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So like I went to school pretty much, it was my last day of school.
Oh yeah.
Like actual classes. So it was super weird because it's like you're like 2 months out from like regular graduation.
Yeah.
And you're like saying like peace out to your teachers and like pretty much everybody that's living there. So
Yeah.
they're in your classes kind of thing.
What was that like?
I was really, I mean, my dad will tell you, when I got home that day, I was like, dude, I'm just finished high school pretty much. Like I'm not going into class anymore. This is really weird.
Yeah.
Like I say, it definitely got real there. I was like, oh, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
So after that, we went to Leo Gang. So Leo Gang was super sick. That track's insane. I really like that track a lot, actually. And and just like the views there are crazy. Like the mountains are so sick. So
never gets old.
yeah,
That's the hashtag. Never gets old.
yeah, that's like out of a postcard.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
it's nuts.
Yeah.
But
How'd you do?
qualified 9th, so I was stoked with that. Like qualified the same place I finished at the last race, so I was stoked with that. And then I ended up 6th, which is like I was really stoked with that. Like I was super pumped. Like I'm not like sometimes like I don't know, I'm not very good at like getting excited about stuff, but I was like definitely super excited about my result, and like everybody around could see that, I thought. So that was sick.
Yeah.
Super pumped with that one. Yeah, that track was awesome. Like
Now, at this point in the game, you're still under Corey?
yeah, under Corey still.
Were there when did the rumblings start of you going to the factory team?
So I always kind of knew that there was a chance at some point. Like there was kind of like George always kind of told me that it was in the background. Like if
we wanted to do it in the beginning of
like
this season.
if it all worked out, that's what would have happened, kind of thing. That's kind of what we needed.
Yeah.
And so yeah, at this point I'm still riding pro builds and under Corey's umbrella for the World Cups. Yeah. So that continued until after Leger, so we still have 2 races.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Val di Sole was the next one, which is the next week.
Gnarly.
Yeah. So that's a crazy track. That thing is nuts. Weather was pretty proper there.
Yeah.
Remember like track walk day, like it was snowed at the top of the other hills. You remember that?
Yeah.
We got to the top and there was snow in the peaks like across the way.
Oh my gosh.
It was nuts.
Dude.
It was pretty nuts. So that was insane.
But race day was tacky, right?
I didn't end up qualifying. Yeah.
It was that was the first one you didn't qualify
First
for.
one I didn't qualify for. I ended up crashing towards the bottom-ish, like kind of middle to bottom. I crashed and just like tucked it in a turn. It was actually, I guess I could pretty much tell you exactly where I was. There's that big like stall wall thing, and then the big like proper rock garden.
Yes.
Into, like the roots.
Yes.
I like right after that like little root section, there's like a right and then a left, and I like just ended up like tucking it in the left, like small crash, like literally like just like feels like you tipped over one of those. You're like, God.
Oh man.
So I ended up crashing, kind of got up pretty fast, like was like, all right, like I was not stoked, but like I made it down kind of thing. I only missed qualifying by like 1.2 there. So I was like 30th. So with the crash, like it was pretty close. Like I knew I would have been in if I didn't crash kind of thing. But yeah, so that was the first like, I guess like low blow of my World Cup career. Like I definitely like was pretty emotional after that. Like you can ask around about that. I don't want to talk about it. But
talk about it.
I
mean like
I just like was like pretty, I was definitely like pretty defeated. Like I like definitely was like all the confidence that I had built up like the week before and then the other weeks and the other World Cups and everything kind of just like felt like it went away. Just throughout the whole week, like kind of just struggled on track. Not that I couldn't ride it, just like just confidence of like pushing, like had some pretty heavy crashes and just like not willing to like die kind of thing. Like it just wasn't, it was just hard for me to get past that to where I was like, okay, like I could push and I'm ready to do a race run kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I didn't end up qualifying, was pretty gutted after, like definitely shed a couple of tears. But high side of that weekend, Valentina made it into her first final. So that was awesome. We got to watch that, which is, that's just as good as seeing someone else do something is awesome. So
good.
And she's so good. So
what's your
relationship with Valen?
Yeah.
Me and Val,
other than those wedding photos,
I couldn't tell you how Valen feels about me. I think it goes day to day with her. I try and just be a sponge with her because I'm sure that people realize, but she's a pro. Like everything that she does is to be better at what she wants to do. And like, I took a lot from her this year. Like she definitely showed me what it is to be a pro in this sport and like the things that you have to do, like outside of the bike or off the bike, or how you eat, how do you treat yourself, how do you recover, kind of thing. Just everything that she did, I was like really impressed with how much professionalism she had, and just watching her work with Steven, or her coach and everything, was like super, like, oh my God, like this is crazy. Like this is what you have to do to be a pro.
Yeah.
So I thank her for that. Just being able to like go off of someone else and not have to figure everything out by yourself is really awesome. Like I just enjoy the process. And
she loved you, by the way. She's the best.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
She's great. So
cool.
So that was probably one of the sicker things to see, was her making it in and making it down with a good run, solid run I think she had. So yeah, she was stoked.
Yeah, that was good.
It was sick. Top 10 in the world is crazy. So
dude, it's insane. I can't. So proud of you guys when you guys do that. It's insane.
So too good.
Yeah, and then next.
I went home after that, so I missed the Morzine trip.
Oh yeah. All right. So this is where it gets cool. Or at least I think it's where it gets cool. What'd you do when you went home?
So I went home, ended up taking a couple finals, and passed my way through my fake senior year of high school, pretty much. I guess my early senior year of high school.
Yeah.
So I ended up graduating in June. So I went to prom and did all that stuff, and so I pretty much had a week of literally no bikes in between, or 2 weeks, I guess it was. It was like 2 weeks of like literally no bikes. Like I just did what I needed to do, was like with my family, and just soaked it all in. Like definitely another emotional time for my parents. It's weird when you like speed up your life, I guess.
Yeah.
So they couldn't believe it either. They're like, you just graduated high school.
Yeah.
17.
And you're an only child.
Only child, so I'm the only one.
You're the baby. Yeah, man. I don't want to see their baby go.
Yeah. But so I had that week, and then me and my mom headed out and we went to Leger. So she was there for Leger, which was sweet. And
Hold up. So you just went home and did basically the equivalent of a normal high school.
Yeah. I graduated public high school, so the same school district I was in kindergarten is the one I graduated from.
So all right, that's possible. You
just gotta. I think anything I could do is try and set an example with that. Is just take initiative in what you want to do, and if you can do something to help that, do anything you can to help that. And I honestly, like, I had a lot. If I'd be wrong if I didn't have like some people that were not stoked with me doing that. Like I had a couple teachers that were not into me graduating a year early, and definitely made it pretty hard on me, especially when I was away for the 3 months I was.
Like homework and stuff.
Just like kind of being like, just not great, like just grading stuff that wasn't supposed to, like grading stuff to a point where it was like, dude, like there's no way that I didn't fail this assignment. Like you didn't, you didn't just fail me for an assignment because I wasn't there. Like that's just, okay. So I had a bit of a battle My mom took care of that. She's definitely a beast when it comes to that. She definitely laid into a couple of teachers and were like, what are you gonna do? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. Give her props.
That's sick.
So that would have been really crap if she didn't step up and help me out there, because
Yeah.
you can't, like, I couldn't say anything to anybody because I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. They make the rules at that point. But
And the New York New York schools district does not cater to what you want to do. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think other states might have like programs and
that
stuff.
was like the hard part, was like, once I finally got my guidance counselor to be on board with it, like with, whereas like like, you're not going to go to college right away, and this, because even from your freshman year, they drill you with this like college mindset. Like, this is what you have to do. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
How do you get to that point? What college are you going to go to? All this stuff. And it's like,
right.
It's definitely weird. Like not going through that whole process. Like, everybody around me was like, I have a bunch of friends that were actual seniors that year. So like, watching them go through the process of, like, was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, I have like two pretty solid friends right around the corner from me. So my friend went to Cortland, so that was cool. Just SUNY school. So that was cool just to see him, go through the process of college. And then another, my friend Kaylee, she plays D1 lacrosse at Hofstra.
Whoa.
So that was pretty crazy. Just watching her get like offers and stuff throughout the high school was like really cool to see. 'Cause you always like watch, you're like, oh man, that kid got an offer. Like Dude. That's nuts. But she, like, watching it like from a close perspective was super cool. So that was nice.
You always want to see your friends win. And when they do, it's so cool. My other friend, like, he's again taking an initiative, knows exactly what he wants to do. He's going to college. He wants to be a sports agent. Oh, nice.
So I got a bit of an in there.
Nice.
And his cousin like owns a sports agency and stuff, so he kind of already has job lined up and stuff. And like, just took initiative, knows exactly what he's going to do. Yeah. Like, super good.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
no, super cool.
I was just curious. I mean, I didn't want to glaze over that, because maybe we could post it in like the notes or the video or whatever. But a lot of I guess wherever you're gonna go to college, you put it on the cap that you're gonna throw up.
Your graduation cap. Yeah.
And Lucas's cap was just one of my photos of him just shredding downhill, which I thought was pretty. Oh yeah, right here. Like, hold that in front of your head. So everyone else was throwing up UCLA, Cortland, Onomatopoeia. I don't know the SUNY schools up there, but Lucas had that, and I just think that's so cool. Like, that's a area of life that you can go into and make a name for yourself and make a living. So how did it feel when you came back from that?
When I like officially graduated.
Yeah, and came back to Europe.
Oh, I mean, like I was like, it was almost to at that point it was like a relieved moment where I was like, okay, I don't have anything resting on my shoulders anymore, because I'll be honest, like those 3 months that we did of racing before that, I was super stressed out about school. Like, I tried not to show it like to everyone, but I was super stressed. Like, I'd call my parents and be like, I don't know if this is gonna work, like how this is gonna go. Yeah. But I ended up making it happen. Couple bumps on the way, but it was no worries. Like, I got it done, I guess. Yeah. But like, I definitely, like, Leger, when I got back to Europe, was in France, and Leger, like, I definitely felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Like, okay, I could just go and race. Like, this is the summer. I don't have anything to do the next, like right now, like there's nothing going on, graduate high school kind of thing. So yeah, I just like a big weight lifted off my shoulders, I think.
So it was like down to business when you got back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And France was so sick, dude.
Oh.
Ligier is, dude, that track's insane.
I love that place.
I really like that track too. That's a great track.
Yeah.
We kind of got screwed on that one, but it's no worries.
What do you mean?
They ended up canceling our race because of the rain.
Oh, that's right.
But like, I mean, you know, it's no worries. I mean, I get it. Like, I understand why they did it, and I'm not like angry at them for doing whatever, because you do, like, they do have to put on a show. Like, that is the thing. Yeah. So we qualified, and we kind of knew, like, at the top of qualifying that, like, there was a chance that we weren't going to race tomorrow. So let's put one down, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I put down a pretty good run. Like, the track was hard. It got rough. It got real rough by the time we got on it for qualifying, which is pretty big theme for us as juniors, especially with the schedule, how it was this year.
Yeah.
Like, qualifying day, I mean, I could just run you through it. Qualifying day, like, we have the first practice, and then the elites go on and practice, and then they end up qualifying, and then we go. So there's, like, 300 dudes practicing and doing a race run before we qualify, and it's like a completely new track when you get on it. So that was, like, probably one of the harder things to, like, adapt to at these races, is, like, qualifying is not just like, okay, I can qualify. It's like, okay, I need to be able to get down the track. Like, it's completely different than where you were at. And I'll definitely say that, like, having two line coaches, like, in George and Steven, is, like, was an extreme help with that, because they were on track all day, just literally feeding us information on what was changing. Hey, this rut is gone.
Yeah.
You need to do something else.
Yeah.
So that, like, I definitely feel super lucky in that sense, where, like, if I didn't have that, maybe something would have went different, or this or that, but, you know.
Yeah.
But, like, just that is super cool.
It's got to help, because it does change so drastically, and I don't think people.
Yeah, like,
if you've never been to one, it's very obvious. Once the pros run through it, it's a new track.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah, you don't get, like, that kind of changes on a US race, or even with everybody racing the same track at a US national. It doesn't get to the point of the 300 fastest dudes in the world racing, you know?
Yeah.
And putting down, like, real times.
Right.
So, like, that's definitely something to adapt for. And, like, if you're trying to race World Cups, just get big in the gym so you can hang on to those holes.
Got to get brolic.
Yeah.
Get brolic.
Yeah. So I qualified 9th. So that was the final and qualifying. So it's a good run, like, good result. Like, 9th place is fine. Like, it's good.
Yeah, man.
First year. So, and you get some solid points from that. So I was stoked with that. But,
and then that was a bit, that's when that race, because that was also the race where we, like, took pictures of you in your cap and gown. So that one I can actually kind of remember, and I just remember being like, okay, Lucas is in the pocket, like he's here, like he's got it figured out, and now we just need to refine and but keep on going, boy.
Yeah, so after that we had our, like, summer break in the World Cups. It was, I don't know, probably 4 weeks, maybe. It was probably a month, no?
Yeah, it was a nice little month, yeah.
So I went home and kind of just...
We had a race, though, I think.
Yeah, we had nationals.
Oh, okay.
Natty champs, but that's a bit later in, like, the story. So I think I was home for about a week, kind of just doing, like, riding here on Long Island, trying to be home for a little bit, kind of get out of the jet lag circle that I was in, because
How'd you do with that?
I don't think I did horrible, but I wasn't, like, stoked to be, like, like, I wasn't, like, I kind of tried to, like, go into it with, like, a mindset every time I went to Europe. I was like, okay, like, this is what you're gonna do, it's gonna be fine, like,
okay.
And it kind of worked out. Like, that's kind of how I try and go about, like, life. Like, if like, it's everything to me is a mindset. Like, you're not, like, nothing's actually wrong. Like, you just need to, like, think that it's right, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I try to do every time. And I mean, some days are better than others. I mean,
Absolutely.
like just going over, sometimes you just have a bad day or a bad flight. And it's just like a crap travel day. But like, like I didn't do horrible. Like, I think I had it's fine.
It's as far as at the races, I could never tell if you were and jet lag, but coming home can be tough.
At home, like, I think once I was back from Leger, I definitely was like, okay, let me take the week to like
good
decompress and like, okay, this is what we just did. We're in a pretty solid spot.
Yeah.
Like, just in general, for the first World Cup season so far.
Right.
So like, I kind of just like, all right, let's figure this out, do some riding here, kind of just get back into the swing of things. And I'd say about a week after Leger, I got a phone call from George, which is not out of the ordinary. Like, I do talk to George a lot. Like, he's my team manager, so I try and keep in touch and figure everything out what we're doing. And he pretty much is pretty blunt and honest. Like, right away in the call, like, he was like, all right, so we're gonna move you up to the big team. And I was like, what? Like, I was like, what? All right, like, cool. And he was like, yeah. So like, you're moving up to the big team. Like, you got to strip your at-home bike and bring it to the shop so we can get it built up. And I was like, okay. So, okay.
Dude.
So that was probably one of the coolest phone calls I've gotten this year. Like, I also like, I was like, whoa, all right. So I guess what I've been doing is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I've been doing pretty solid. So like, I kind of went from there, got on the bike pretty soon after. Like, I think I went that weekend and got the bike built and started testing.
Okay. So there was a switch there though.
Yeah. So I completely, the whole bike except for the heart of it, the frame was different. Pretty much changed every component on the bike except for tires and the frame. So I went from Fox to SRAM, TRP to SRAM, and then I was running race face wheels, and we went to Crank Pro wheels. But I try to be like pretty, I don't know how to say it, like I can deal with anything kind of thing. I went into another mindset thing where I was like, okay, this is gonna be okay. Like, this isn't a bad thing. Everything is good these days. Like, there was no worry that, these components aren't as whatever. Like, there was nothing in my mind that was like, oh no, I'm screwed now.
Yeah.
Because it's not like that anymore. I wouldn't say that in mountain biking right now that components are making the difference right now. Like, pretty much, like, if you're on the best of anything, it's the best, like, it's not, maybe if you're low at Bruni, but maybe if you got a couple buttons on your rig. But for me, as a junior racer, junior pro racer, I don't think that the parts on your bike are going to change how you do.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I never really thought it that way. Like, it's like you ride what you could ride, and if I'm gonna get the stuff, I'm gonna get the stuff. So
if I'm not wrong, they kind of had to like make you be like, no, Lucas, like, we have to like figure out like actual
so the
real
first
settings, not just like this will work.
The first day was like pretty hairy. Like, I just didn't. I kind of just set it up like I would my my Fox stuff, and like you have to realize that like it is different, so you have to set it up in a different way. You can't do exactly what you did on your Fox fork to your SRAM fork.
No.
So there's a bit of a learning curve there, but I got like a pretty solid base setup before going to Natty Champs. But I got to do a race before Natty Champs, ESC race.
Okay.
I went to Thunder.
Good practice.
Yeah. A solid track at Thunder Mountain. So it's at Berkshire East, but in the winter they call it. But Yeah, so they have a pretty solid track, and they recently done a few changes to make it like spruce it up a bit, a little bit different, not the same track, not the same beat up track they've been riding for 10 years kind of thing. So that was cool.
Nice.
So I got to go there and like actually test it on a track that was going to get kind of changed a bit, which is cool. Went there, did pretty well. I mean, I won. I smashed. Yeah, I mean, it's
no biggie.
Not really smashed it kind of thing, but yeah, no, it was just cool to wear the banner for the first time. Like I think the past 2 years have been like kind of around the Transition Factory program and just wanted to put that shirt on. Just wanted to chuck the shirt on and show what I could do kind of thing. Be like, this is me. And it was really cool, like the first race to throw that shirt on, and George being there and helping me with the bike set was sweet, even at like a super local race, like on his birthday weekend. So
that's cool.
That was cool. So I got the dub for the TM on the birthday, so that works.
That had to just like putting that jersey on had to be like, okay, this is it.
Yeah. So that was cool. And then I did like some solid, just tried to ride the downhill bike as much as I could just to get everything dialed in before Natty Champs. Ended up going to National Champs, Rock Creek again, 6th spot. Pretty tough weekend, like really good like for me, really good practice and just good racing for me, like, but some other things happened another thing happened that wasn't too great and hit I'd say the Northeast guys pretty hard with with Scott Huntley passing away on track. So we send our prayers to his family as always. Scott was a really big supporter of mine.
He was.
I'd like to go into that a little bit. He I'd say he was like my first, like, I don't want to say fan, but he was kind of a fan. Like Scott was probably one of the first people to hit me up in my DMs and be like, dude, you're sick. From when I was a little kid. And that was like such a cool thing. And like just having him like every week just swoop in and say, hey, was like a really cool thing for me, and like always put a smile on my face what he had to say. And I was just like pretty emotional weekend, like with everything that happened. And like 2 hours before my race run, he's kind of gone. So
did you know that?
Oh yeah.
Before you dropped in?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I knew like there was a pretty heavy hold on everything.
Yeah.
Just to be expected. They ended up going through with the racing, and I dropped fourth to last, so it wasn't too bad. I qualified fourth, so I had a good qualifying run. I was really stoked. Like I wasn't expecting that, and that's like fourth overall. So like with all the big dogs kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I was just like completely dedicated my run to him, and just like was like, I'm gonna go for it and see what happens kind of thing. Like this is, so I mean, I couldn't tell you much about that run. The only reason I could tell you anything is because I filmed it on the GoPro, and there's also
the
Gravity Co-op does a race recap, so there was also like a third person video of my run. But so that was super cool, or not super great, but put a run down, and was glad to like make it down safely. And I think everybody else made it down pretty safe, so that was great. But super emotional at the bottom, and just overall throughout the weekend. So
what did Scott like represent to you?
I mean, I think he just represented what downhill is, especially on the local level. Like there's not a race that you go to that he's not there in the US pretty much. Like and everybody knew him kind of thing. Like he was just the spirit of downhill. Like just a dude that was going to go out there and send it kind of thing.
He's good. He's good boy.
It's okay, Bumpus. But yeah, like he really, I think, represented the spirit of what downhill is and how like just the racing. He just loved the racing, which is really cool.
Yeah, he was. I think I hope we can like go back and talk more, or someone else do a better job. But yeah, he was the embodiment of USDH, and just work all week just to go race, and he loved it, and his family loved it, and it was just so sad. And but you guys handled it. Even the younger kids and stuff, I was worried about, them having to drive up and see it. And you mountain biker kids, man, are tough. It was a very, very unfortunate situation, but I think everyone handled it as best as they could at that time. And you don't expect that. So obviously, everybody, I think, did from the racer organizational standpoint and from the racing standpoint. I think there couldn't have been any better way to do that, and it just was what it was. And just thoughts and prayers always to Scott and his family. Yeah,
definitely not something we can skip over.
No.
But I'd say on the bright side of that, I ended up 5th overall on the day, so that was super, super good for me. Like, I was really stoked to be in the mix with all those dudes.
And who was that? Like, who were like who's the podiums?
So it was Asa won.
Yeah.
The overall. Then it was Dooley, and then it was Gwen, and then it was Luca, and then me.
That's big, man.
And then a bunch of pretty heavy hitter dudes behind me. So that was, I was stoked. Like, it was cool to put down a run and be like there with everyone.
That's gotta feel good, dude. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then headed back to Europe, right?
Yeah. We had like a week? Not even. It was pretty quick turnaround, I think.
Yeah. That was tough. It was a tough schedule, dude. You gotta admit, man.
We looked at it the other day. I did 19 races this year.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And 8 of those are like world class. World Cups of 1 world champs, which is like 7 World Cups and a world champs.
Yeah.
Did 19 races this year, which is like pretty packed. I mean, for a summer and like a couple months before, like, it's pretty packed. 19 events. And they're all like big weekends,
For sure. And that's why, like, a little inside baseball, like Lucas and I had been planning to do this, I don't know, maybe like
a year. More than half the year.
Yeah, I would be like, but I think you and I are close enough where we kind of were like, it doesn't feel right. Like, and then me knowing that you were doing so many races, I was like, let's just get through a season and see, and then talk. So I think we did it way better.
I'm definitely glad that we got to sit down and talk after everything was done.
Yeah.
Because like especially if we did it like before any of the changing of teams happened, like, it would have been
man.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Just missed out.
And especially, I mean, you did, Mont Saint Anne, and then you had Jiminy Peak was the last. Yeah. I don't want to glaze over the races. I just want to, like, you just ended your
I literally ended my season like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, Roger.
It's crazy.
Cool.
Yeah, my last racing, even with Mount Saint Anne, was like less than 3 weeks ago. So
yeah,
it's crazy. But so we went to Worlds, first World Champs.
What's that? How's putting the stars and stripes on?
It's crazy. So I never ridden or raced in the like the nation jersey because I never had a petition.
Yeah.
So it was cool to put that on and like race for the USA. Also, my first World Cup with a team officially.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So so that was like with Valen and Steven and Richie and everybody. So it wasn't just me and Tilly in the US, which was cool.
Yeah.
So everybody was there. It was super. It felt like I was on the team officially now. You know.
And that's when Joakim came in.
Nah, Joakim has been with us since Poland.
I mean, but didn't the shift to your bike was more like paying attention? Or he's already, okay.
Yeah.
I was never in the pit, so I don't know what the fuck was going on.
No, no. He worked on both of our bikes from Poland. It was like pretty 50-50. It wasn't like anything crazy.
How do you like Joakim?
Joakim's the man. I still am putting together a appreciation post for him on Instagram actually as a moment. But
Nice.
just I give it out to him because the only person before him that's ever worked on my bike is my dad at a race. And for him to make it not different was insane, or was great for me. Like, he made it feel like he almost went about it the same way. He had the same kind of mannerism, same like emotional status, I guess, and just like brought knowledge to me. Not like that, like other people wouldn't or whatever, but like just he brought knowledge that he thought I needed, or the same thing as what my dad did.
Yeah.
And I really thought that was cool. Like I didn't expect that. Like I didn't expect to have such a deep connection with someone over 5 to 6 races. I think we only did together.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 races, I think.
Yeah.
Because -2. So we did 6 races together.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think we
think
did
you
6.
maybe even did more, but
I think we did 6 races together with Joakim. So, like, just to build a connection off of pretty much only 6 and change weeks of time is like pretty cool.
yeah.
And like to the point where like it was like we still keep in touch today. Like, you know, definitely
Joakim's the man.
someone in my corner that will be in my corner for forever. Like, I really appreciate everything that dude did for me this year. And yeah.
Sick.
So, yeah, Worlds. I had a bit of struggles. Track was really hard there. Like, unlike anything that we ride on the East Coast, definitely more of like a California style track, like super fast, wide open, dusty kind of thing. And it was definitely hard for me to adapt to that. And just, yeah, like had a tough weekend kind of thing. Like, just couldn't seem to put it together when it counted kind of thing. Like, I think I was riding good in sections, but putting everything together was not gelling with me. Like, I just couldn't get it done.
Gotcha.
I mean, dude, not that I did horrible by any means. I qualified 20th and finished 21st. So 21st in the world, not bad, especially with, dude, those dudes go so hard for world champs. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, but obviously shout out to Asa for the win, and also Bodie Burke, because he was on the podium. So 2 US dudes on the podium is insane. That kid rips. He's always ripped. He just needed to put one down, and it's sick that he could put one down.
I was elated when I saw 2 stars and bars.
Sick.
Oh my god, man!
So sick.
I was like, if I have to retire, then I'm good, because they played the national anthem in another country, and I stood there with my camera. For me, that was big.
Super cool.
And just the shots of you guys, like you congratulating Asa with your jerseys on, and for me that was a special moment.
Yeah,
but,
it was super cool to be a part of.
For sure.
Yeah, so definitely not the greatest weekend for me. Definitely wasn't like super stoked with like how everything went, but you know, we made it through, and we had a short week to Loudenvielle. So everybody hopped in the car and we drove to Loudenvielle.
Yeah.
Pretty cool scenic drive on that one, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say so too. Yeah.
It was sick.
Wow.
Loudenvielle, I mean, just in general, is like crazy scenic. Like, I didn't know that it was like.
Well, we stopped to use the bathroom, and there were wild horses. Like, and we had no idea. We were just like, oh, look over there, and they're beautiful Spanish wild horses, and you don't just see that in Long Island every day, you know. So.
No. But yeah, so just like scenery in general, Loudenville's sick though. Like, all the exposed rock and everything is super cool.
That track too is incredible.
So cool, dude. It's a really cool track. What they can do there with that terrain is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely another tough weekend for Loudenvielle, but I think it was for everyone, not just me. There's a pretty big weather thing for us, so they ended up canceling all the second practices, so we only had 2 hours of practice the first day, so it's not a lot. Or was it 2 or yeah, it's 2 hours because you do 2 and 2. So yeah, 2 hours. We only had 2 hours of practice the first day, and that's for everyone. So, you know, but it was also really hard to get runs in because of there's a lot of red flags. So a lot of crashing. So you'd kind of get stopped in a weird spot and be like, all right, now I have to go now.
Yeah.
So that was definitely something hard to overcome. I think I did like 3 runs the first day, which is not a whole bunch. And then the second day before qualifying, I normally do 3, sometimes 2 if I'm really feeling it, but I normally try and do 3 before qualifying just because there's like enough time.
Yeah.
Just to feel ready and just to see everything on track.
Right.
I only did 2. I only got 2 in. So I did 5 runs total before qualifying, and I normally do like at least 10.
Yeah.
So it's like half the runs that you would normally do on a track. So, and it's not a track that you've ridden before. So I think all the first years and people who haven't been there have definitely felt that like, damn,
Yeah.
you know, this is tough because,
Yeah.
you know, it takes a minute just to figure out like, okay, this is where I'm at on the track. And, you know, the top part's pretty weird with the flat. It's kind of like, okay, I'm here, but like not really thinking about it, but you're thinking about it.
Right.
So, yeah, tough weekend. Struggled with just confidence to push, just with weather and the changing of conditions. Like it was probably the craziest mud I've ever ridden in one of the steeper tracks, and in the steepest track that you're gonna race, I'd say.
Really?
Oh yeah, like once you get into the woods, like it.
Oh yeah,
the chutes are not anything like you're gonna ride. And if it's dry, like you just ride down it, it's pretty mellow. But like when it's wet and you're just sliding sideways, it's pretty.
We can't even walk down that.
Yeah,
we have to go like way out in the woods and use the woods to get down it. It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It was a crazy venue, but super cool track, but like definitely hard if the weather turns against you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and it was crazy because we went from like a full dry weekend to
one off
to like a full wet mudder, like a proper mudder.
Yeah.
Like I had never brought out wet scream tires before. That's never been like really a thing that you like bring out on the East Coast, especially. Like you don't
I guess
necessarily need that. Like I've never ridden that tire before, and you literally couldn't ride down if you weren't on that tire kind of thing. Like the one day.
It's insane.
So yeah, but definitely tough. But yeah. So just kind of like a weird mindset thing at the top of the track before qualifying. I was just like really struggling with like confidence to push. Like okay, like I feel like normally on a race, like before going to a race run, I'm like I have it all in my head. Like I'm gonna do this is how it's gonna go, and it just wasn't like that. Like I couldn't get it in my head that like this is where I'm gonna go and this is good. Like I was super all over the place, just not confident. Track dried up a lot, so it got way faster than I'd ever ridden it, and the track's like really fast when it's dry.
Yeah.
So like there's a couple shoots that you're like, whoa, like you're going fast now. So just kind of all over the place in the run, just bouncing off line, and yeah, I don't know, just wasn't a great showing, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, it all happens for a reason, and keep trucking, just, you know.
Montana.
Yeah, so I went home for a week or 2 weeks.
I'm sorry. We had
Loudenvielle and then a solid break.
Yeah.
And then we went to Killington
Yep.
for US Open.
The weekend before Montana.
Yeah,
Yep.
so a doubled up weekend.
Yeah.
Um,
Are tough.
yeah. Always tough when there's back-to-back races. Like, it's a lot just in a week, and just to recover after that week is tough. So, especially just with, like, if you take any kind of crash, it hurts, you know. It just, it lingers with you for a while, and, you know, that happens. So,
But for real quick, what's your opinion on recovery? Because I feel like out of most of the people I talk to, you have the more healthy view on it.
I think that it's definitely like something that you need. Like, you definitely need to recover. Like, it's you could definitely see differences in your body of like whether you're not recovered or you are recovered.
Right.
But like, I mean,
I don't know. So all of you who who I'm talking about, did you just hear that? Recovery is important. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Keep on going, Lucas.
Yeah, no, recovery is definitely important. I think you could definitely tell a difference in the riding when you're recovered versus not, because, I mean, you can see it in the races I did well at. I was very well recovered. But, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, there's no excuses in anything. You know, you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
And, so I went on to US Open, and I was just stoked to be back in the US kind of thing. Like,
and it's a sick race.
yeah, it's crazy, especially like there's always some like heavy hitters that show up, but a lot of them showed up this race. There was a solid 15 to 30 dudes that were like, all right, you can be a top 30 World Cup guy and you're at a US national pretty much.
Yeah.
But US Open is pretty sick event, and how they can end up running it is super cool.
Yeah.
And I was just stoked to be back on, like, at home. Like, driving to a race again is pretty sweet, like in your own stuff.
And all your homies are with you, and
everything's cool.
Yeah.
So
that's gotta be good.
dogs there. Kind of thing.
Yeah. Gotta have him. Man.
Yeah. So
he's walking around here somewhere. Great.
Yeah. So I went to US Open. Tricky conditions there again, like kind of sloppy, slippery. Kind of it's super flat there, so when it's wet, you're kind of just like all over the place.
Yeah.
But it dried up pretty much for qualifying and stuff, and I had like just not a great qualifying run. I was like pretty far back. I was like 40th or something in Open or something like that. So not super great. Then the next day kind of had a couple crashes in the morning, or no, that was the day before, right before qualifying. Sorry. Had a huge crash right before qualifying, like towards the top of the track, and like definitely knocked my like everything going, like all the confidence and stuff. But like big crash, went up, was like kind of stiff, rode a stiff qualifying run, got like 40th or whatever. Then the next day showed up, new spirit, stoked to race, ready to give it what I could do, and had a pretty solid first split. Like when you look at the times, like it was like 30th maybe in the actual like number, but with the times you're like pretty much up there with the top 10 dudes. It's just like, you know,
yeah,
like there's a lot of dudes that are fast, so everything's tight. So realistically the time was good, but it like doesn't look great on paper, but it does at the same time.
Yeah.
Ended up smoking a tree in right in the beginning of the second split.
That's right.
Had a bit of a weird thing. I actually like went into a rut, tagged the pad of another tree with my foot, and it pushed me, and I went for another tree and just went straight bars to the tree, and it like did a full like 360 to like the back kind of thing. I was like, whoa. No. It was nuts. Got up, it was like rode down, just like had a bit of like a brake malfunction. I just like pretty much followed the dude that qualified or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, I remember.
Everybody saw that.
Yeah.
They were like, pass him. I'm like, dude, I got passed. I was like, I'm the one who got passed, bro.
I'm holding on, dude.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
no front brake was pretty hectic following him, but I got it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
Still,
Yeah.
you made it through. You
Yeah.
survived it.
survived it, made it through, and was just stoked that I had another race to redeem myself the next weekend. MSA, probably one of the cooler tracks this year, I'd say. Like, just literally has everything.
How did you? Yeah. What do you like about that?
Like, I thought that like there was some like proper bits where you're like, this is like technical, you know, like
Oh.
you're not just like bombing down something that's like fast.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, okay, I have to think when I'm riding, more or
Right.
less.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is a kind of a techie little thing that I have to do. It's a solid move. Like every run, like I'd say like other tracks, like you'll do a line that like, you're like, okay, I have to be super precise here. But there's like just certain things on that track where you're just riding down and you're like, okay, I need to be on this, like this line. Like there's not a lot of room for error. Yeah. So like that track was super cool. Definitely like felt like pretty good, like in practice, like wasn't riding like bad or anything. Like I was pretty stoked with my riding, like, and everybody on track said the same.
Yeah.
I got to work with Valen's mechanic Richie, and he actually put the BYB system on a bike, which was super cool
Oh
to
yeah.
mess around with. So that was like, I'd never like really messed with any like telemetry stuff, and Richie's like super smart and could read the computer.
He loves it. He loves that stuff.
So he you know, he could read the computer and stuff. So yeah, so my setup was like probably the best it's ever been. Like,
Oh, okay.
never like not a doubt in the mind on the bike setup, which was sick. So I was super confident in that aspect, but just like super beat. It was really cold.
Yeah.
A couple crashes and stuff, just not great. Put down a qualifying run. End up crashing like after the first split in like kind of a weird loamy turn, just like tucked the front somehow and caused like a mechanical to the bottom, so didn't really have much of a chance to even go for like a qualifying spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely finished off the World Cup season like not in the greatest of ways, but it definitely like made me hungry to like
I was gonna say, yeah.
race next year and like get everything, like see what we could do, because yeah, like I think if it ended off too well, it'd less fire in you, but not that there would be, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like there's just more fire in you when you have like a defeat.
Yeah.
You know?
Little chip on your shoulder. Little redemption, maybe, you know. But you did what you could.
Like
know?
one of the goals in 2024 was to make it through the whole season, was to go to every race, and I did that. So that was the check off the box, which was I was super stoked with. I haven't been able to do that in a couple of years.
Dude, that's a very big accomplishment.
And
yeah,
I mean, I don't know if that played a part in the back of my head with some of the riding towards the end of the year, but it's, you know, it happens. So
yeah.
Yeah.
It all happens for a reason, man. All right. Well, that was your first overall thoughts. First year racing World Cup mountain biking mixed with your domestic stuff.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's exactly what everybody that goes over there tells you it's going to be, I'd say.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's so different, this, that. And I'm like, I'd like that challenge kind of thing. Like I had a lot of people tell me that it was going to be like really hard to like go over there and like, compete. And I have a weird thing where or not a weird thing, I think a lot of people have this, but I do enjoy the act of proving someone wrong.
Oh, me
like,
too.
I love making someone look dumb when they tell me something, and it's like,
it's the best.
well, I'll show you kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I definitely had that mindset going in, and into the World Cups, and I did what I could. I had a good season. Like I finished 14th in the overall, and that was like 6th best of the first year juniors. So,
dude,
like pretty solid. So
yeah,
I can't complain.
I mean, you're in the mix. You can, like I said in the beginning, you're the only one I'm seeing following down the fastest guy on paper. So I mean, you're right where you need to be. All right. Now comes kind of the tricky part, I guess, is what's next, because we have rules still developing, pricing, stuff like that. You're the whole reason why I wanted to do this podcast, and the whole reason why I picked or chose you was because you're the one that's directly affected by the changes that are being made, and I hate to say, but the tardiness of them getting information out, stuff like that. So what do you like? What's going through your head now for next year?
It's pretty open right now. Transition Factory Racing ended up folding a couple of days ago, or a week ago, or I don't know when this is going to come out, but it ended up folding. So there will not be a team in 2025.
At the moment, yeah, we'll just say that at the moment.
Yeah,
not
like
really, probably not. Probably not.
They're not running a team in 25.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yep.
There'll be something out by then, I think.
Yep.
So it's fine. So there's no transition factory for 2025, especially World Cup wise. I don't know about domestically.
Yeah.
We shall see, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I'm contractless.
Yeah.
So it's been a pretty interesting like experience. I kind of got the news obviously pretty late. I semi-prepared for it. I sent some emails out like a couple weeks ago just to say, hey, like this may happen.
Yeah. Which is
what
good.
Do you have?
That's your job.
So so kind of just like a waiting game at this point. I gotten some emails back, nothing like crazy at this point, but yeah, definitely still looking. And I mean, the goal is to race World Cups next year. Like that's what you want to do. And
that's what
I don't want to like take I'm not ready to take the defeat of, okay, you can't race the World Cups next year. And like staying here is always an option, especially Clay Harper has like put together a new kind of series now that started last year with the Pro Downhill series. So that does give us a pretty good opportunity in North America to race a high level race.
Yeah.
And I do know of like a pretty large amount of dudes that is their plan for next year.
Yeah.
That is how it's going to go. And that's kind of my last resort at this point. I am definitely still completely engaged in racing World Cups next year and doing another full season of racing to prove what I can do on the racetrack. And but I mean, it's kind of not up to me at this point. I don't make the rules. So.
Right. But that being said, just as a backup, maybe think of it as someone that's not in your shoes that is getting into downhill. What would you tell them? How would you tell them to go about it?
People coming into going into a first World Cup season?
No, maybe someone that's been like a rider that's done a few races but wants to be at the top of the heap in domestically. I
mean, it gives you the Pro Monster Series now just gives you a really good platform to show what you can do.
Yeah.
They do the Gravity Co-op again, completely covers that series with a full race recap. So, I think it's good because you can, I think it's good for people here that want to stay here and make a living here because you still get that TV coverage, I guess. It's YouTube coverage, but for us juniors, that's the same coverage that we get for a World Cup. And I'd say they do just as good of a job, if not better, with, they I know the dudes personally, and they put their heart and soul into that. This is what they wanted to do, and they made it happen. So they're doing their best work out there. And I mean, it's sick because they really give you a full week thing. Like, there's a bunch of videos. They're not just the recap. There's videos going out throughout the whole week of course previews, a track walk. Like, there's no other series doing a track walk like video. You know, like it's with someone, with whoever they normally have a guest, like one of the somebody pro, or somebody that they want to have on.
Dante.
Yeah, they had
Dakota,
Dante, they had Dak, and or maybe Nico or something.
Austin maybe once. But yeah, the shout out to those guys over there. And we actually, this podcast wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for Gravity Co-op. Shout out for the mics. Michael McQueen especially has just been super awesome as far as getting those like race replays out. I think the amount of editing those guys do in a night is crazy, dude. Because they get them out so fast. And I'll put it this way: I know that those dudes get the video to the editing guy,
to the guy that ends up putting it out early. Yeah, and the amount of work that those guys have to do in one night is crazy. Yeah, with the commentator, because all the commentating's done after. Yeah, and so
in a different state.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, those guys, and it's so seamless too. I mean, we just spilled the beans, obviously, but if we didn't say that, a lot of people would probably think that they were just like there watching it. Crazy. Like they're so good at it. Yeah. Shout out to Will. Shout out to Grizz.
Yeah, and I do think it's cool. Homies. Like, obviously, like, the whole thing of it being live would be awesome, but like, I do think you get something else out of it when it's not live, because they get to put more into it.
Yeah. And there's nothing to say that maybe, there one day it will be live.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're working very hard. And I was talking to Clay yesterday. I met up with him to pick up a microphone, but we were talking. He's like, I just don't want to be the World Cup. I don't want to be compared even to the World Cup. I want this series to be our own thing, and to make it as big as we want. And so I'm down with that. Me personally, in my Jack Rice journey as a photographer, I'm kind of with you. I still am going for World Cups.
At this point in time, like, there's no reason for me not to go for it. Right. And it at this point, it still is the world stage. It still is the one that people are going to talk about. Not that, honestly, it did surprise me though. There are like people that are not from the US that asked me about it. Oh yeah. They're like, hey, like, how is that? And I'm like, oh, I mean, yeah, it's great. It's super cool. Like, it's awesome that we have a proper race series, unlike the other some other countries don't have a pro downhill series. Right. There's no other country that's filming their races,
Right. Yeah. And it would make sense that, like, I know this is way before your time and before my time, but the heyday of mountain biking, when the Volvo sponsorships, Mountain Dew and all that, and we could very well have something not just similar but better for you guys. But that being said, I think there is some of us that, I feel like I worked so hard to get to the World Cups, and I just want to see it through, and I want to show people what I can really do. And I think that you have that same mindset.
Yeah, same drive. Like, there's no, like, I think that if you can, like, there are some pros now that have made a living just being in the US. Like,
it's like, totally doable.
And this is going to make it easier. Yeah. Like, it's going to make it, I mean, dude, I know of companies that are really putting, like, a new foot forward just because of this series, and that they're starting to support people again in a bigger way, where, you know, we haven't seen that in a long time. Where,
No.
you know, people kind of look over the U.S. racing scene and it's like, oh, like whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do think that their plan is to move to like just full North America, South America kind of status, like not just a U.S. scene, which is super cool.
Yeah.
More continental series, yeah.
And I kind of like, and I don't know if you see it this way, but like with the downhill Southeast, not as it, you know, the Gravity Co-op boys help out with that as well. Maybe not to the, not trying to be as glamorous or, you know, they just straight up racing. Let's race. Let's get it done. Let's have fun. So it's like we have 2 of those in the U.S. right now. And I don't know. I just kind of wanted to make it public that, like, if you are a racer and you're in trouble this season, there are
2 opportunities to get TV coverage and tell your sponsors this is what you're going to give them.
Right.
Because the views don't lie.
Exactly.
You know, like it, you know, and it's just going to get bigger, you know?
So like maybe go on that a little bit, like if somebody was in that position.
Yeah, I mean, I know of a couple of kids right now that have asked me like what I'm gonna do or what their plan should be,
right?
And how, because I'm in a really good spot in the World Cups where even if I mean, like I can go and just race, I don't have to petition. I am a top 90 rider in the world.
Yeah,
that's out of everyone.
Yeah.
So there's 6 juniors at the moment that can just go and race, and I'm the last dude that can just go and race.
That's sick.
So
it's so sick.
I'm in a good spot with that, and that is one of the reasons why I'm like I need to do this, and I also just have I don't have I'm not taking defeat on it, dude. Like I said before, like that's what I want to do, and that's what I'm going to do kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
same.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I think that it's definitely growing, like the US and this new series, and like it's great like now with all the rule changes in the World Cups, because like it is harder for a kid just to go to the World Cups now. Like you can't just like go.
Yeah. No.
You literally can't just go. So like I mean, dude, 3 years ago, you could pretty much just show up and do your thing. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And I think you'll start to see that, like, with there being less people at the World Cups, which could be good or could be bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, like, but what they're doing is going to just decrease the number of racers at each race. But that is their goal.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
it's a weird thing because it makes sense, but it's also harder for you to get more talent in.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, dude, if you look at some of the top dudes that are top 10 in the world right now, were they top 10 in the world when they first got on the scene? Half of them were not. That's the hardest thing, and it's like there needs to be something that you can use to build into that series, like where, like if it is the Pro Monster series, or if there is another series that you can use to get points or something to get into the racing,
right?
Sure, but like it is still just hard to race. Like, even 3 years ago, if you wanted to go to a World Cup and you're from the US, it's hard because you're going to Europe to race.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
not.
Well, I also think of it as like Valentina Roa said something in our last interview I did with her, where she was like, you know, I kind of the last 2 years kind of did everything that I wanted. You know, I got the overall, I won the amount of races I want, and you know, I want to change it up next year and like work on film projects, but I still want to race. And I'm thinking like even someone like her, she might want to do some film projects and then come over here and do a race.
Yeah,
this,
I mean, one of the like big examples of like someone who did literally all the races this year was Arise van Leuven.
Exactly.
She did literally every race this year, pretty much.
Good call. Yeah.
Like,
can't believe it.
She came to every single one of those Pro Monster Series, and then I think she did most, if not all, the Crankworks races as well. And then obviously she went to all the World Cups.
Yeah.
But I don't like know her like personally, like super like we've said hey, but nothing like crazy.
Yeah.
But like I don't think that was necessarily her plan, but it ended up going that way.
And it
worked out really well. Like I think that people like in the US wouldn't have known her necessarily from the World Cups right now, just because as a junior, if you're not from that country, you don't normally like. I mean, it's safe. I mean, unless you're Asa, but you know, but like there isn't many people that like, you know. I mean, some dude in France most likely doesn't know exactly who I am.
Oh,
if I showed up to a French national and he was there, he would know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I get you.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like she's just broadening her brand pretty much.
Dude, I mean,
it's cool.
Always seemed like she had a good time.
Oh yeah.
For the most part, and enjoyed the tracks and stuff.
Yeah, it's cool.
Cool, man. So what's off season Lucas look like?
Yeah, so I think the next week or two here, I start up back up in the gym and like trainer kind of every day kind of practice.
Yeah.
For the season, but trying to figure out what kind of racing I'm gonna do, but next year, like see what team or what brings whatever opportunities awaits me at this point.
Hurry up and wait.
Yeah, pretty much. I've pretty much done mostly what I can to right now, and it's a waiting game at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just back into a pretty regular training every day kind of thing, especially I'm not going to school right now, so I don't have that stress of schoolwork on my shoulders right now. I'm kind of just at home doing things for my mom around the house and, and you know, riding as much as I can and
training.
Yeah, training and just yeah.
Is there any like specific goal with training that you'd like to accomplish or?
Yeah, I don't know. I tried. It's hard to say. Like, I definitely want to be more, like, a bit stronger than I was last year. Okay. Like, just to.
Does that in form of mass or is that in form of getting more shredded?
Yeah, I would say like probably a bit heavier, but just try and fill out a bit more.
Yeah.
Just purely and continue, and another goal is mostly just to like continue through the summer and not let the like weird breaks and travel affect the training, because I think towards the end of the season it may have shriveled off for me. Oh. Like the training aspect, and like
did you feel that?
Definitely feel like the whole like getting tired like during the week and just being like exhausted all the time is like something I don't want. And you know, like I lived through it and I learned, I understand now what I need to do. But I also like have a goal of like what do you call it? I completely just lost my train of thought. I don't even know why.
Working on stuff for next year.
Yeah. I mean, just
like how you approach it.
Yeah, and like what was I gonna say? I have no idea.
It's all good, dude.
My fault.
It's all good.
It'll come to me in a minute.
Yeah, just like I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes. Like, okay, I sent out all the emails, I did all this stuff, and now I have to wait. And like I couldn't. I mean, you know how I am with that stuff. I'd be off the walls. I'd have to work out just to not put my head through a wall.
My boots, but I have some pretty. I'd say I have some pretty solid mentors. Like I'd say one of my biggest mentors is Nico Mullally, outside of my parents and stuff.
Yeah,
Nico Mullally. Like I had a call with him the other day, kind of thing. Just like just good to talk to someone who's been through it and knows what's going on. And so I just like, I don't know, just try and keep my head up and think positively about it and not get too stuck up in what happens, because something that happens next year could be something completely different the year after.
year after,
I
yeah.
don't.
I kind of thought that about this season. I felt I didn't feel the same buzz that I normally did at a race, and that's just me personally. I didn't feel that like crescendo, and they were all on race day. They all turned out to be great races. It was just like the days leading up. I was like, what are we doing? But I think we needed that kind of flat year, and I'm hoping they turn it up next year, for both our sakes. And like, yeah, man, because there is absolutely no reason why you don't have put in the work, are a excellent human being, and a good example of what an excellent human being is you. So like the fact that you're searching for a team right now just boggles my mind from what I came into.
Yeah.
So I hope, I know it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to. And I think you do too.
And that's like kind of just how just how I'm looking at it, is like, if, it may not go my way at this point, but that's all I can do. And I'm just going to go out there and kill it, because that's what I know I can do where I'm at. Because all I do know is that if it doesn't go my way and I don't get to go, if I don't get on a team to go over, and I'll still go over for a couple, but I just can't, I can't just go over for a full season by myself. It's just not feasible or doable
or fair.
Yeah, it's just not. No. It's not great.
But
I don't think it would be great for anyone. Just me being there would just not be great.
Just
it would
be
just worse.
Wasting money.
But I do know like that there's some proper races in the beginning of the year in the U.S., especially in the beginning of the year when everybody's trying to get on track, and all I know is that I could go there and just tear it up and just show where I'm made of, kind of thing, and that's what I'm gonna do. But
worst comes to worst, you can't go to, and hypothetically, worst comes to worst, you can't get on a World Cup team or go to a World Cup. Do you just run every race domestically?
I think I'd mostly try and work out something with to do a full pro monster series with like support and everything.
Okay.
And then I definitely would go to like a few. I know, because I can just sign up.
Yeah.
So I would definitely go obviously to the ones here in North America, but then I'd also definitely make a trip out to do a couple.
Like Costa Rica, maybe.
No, like World Cup wise, I definitely make a trip over to do a couple in Europe.
Okay.
I definitely would. Like I wouldn't just let it sit, but like
there is value to that.
There is a way that I could make a trip out of it with my dad, and we could rough it out and it would be good.
Yeah.
But it's not ideal, but I would get it done, and it would, I don't know.
It's tough, man, and that's why I wanted to talk to you, because it's
real.
It's real life. It's real people's bank accounts and families that are affected, and
I mean, dude, it's not only me.
No.
There's a lot of kids in my situation.
Think not even just from the racers to the mechanics to the team managers to the media people, like all the I'm retiring this year, which I thought, going to Mont Saint Anne, in my head I was like, this is my last race. It's been real. I set out and did what I wanted to do, but I still want more. I know you're just getting started.
Dude,
so it's
I say this every year, but I am definitely more hungry than I've ever been, and
I can tell.
I think just being around me right now, like the laps I've been putting in, just at the end of the year, good riding laps at the bike park is just sick.
Oh, yeah.
I've just been like loving riding the bike, and just really like not that I wasn't having fun or wasn't enjoying it, but I refound why I love riding my bike.
Yeah.
Because like, dude, it does come to a point where like you do 19 races and it's like, how many days did you ride just to go ride that weren't just like testing, training, this, that, like,
Yeah.
dude. So,
and all the everything that comes with, say the middle of a World Cup race weekend, or a race week, all the where are we going to eat? Where is my laundry done? Is there's so much that goes on. And I wish we kind of talked maybe a little bit more about that, like day-to-day stuff, like how you guys set up. But we do have a full off season, and this doesn't have to be the only podcast we do. So
have to make a trip up to Maine in the snow.
Oh geez, I'm not gonna make you do that. She's freaking
just want a wheel, dude.
Just a frozen lobster. But you can absolutely. Yeah. You're always welcome. You know that.
Just mess with you, dude.
Asshole.
No worries.
Lucas, you've been probably, if not the most proud. I don't know how to say it. I'm just super proud of you, man. And like, watch it. You remind me of what my life could have been. You know what I mean? And I obviously went in a way different direction. You're doing everything the right way, and I wanted to shed light on that. And I think you're just a heck of a kid, heck of a rider, and I just wish you the best. And it was a great season. Just being able to hang with you and
just being around was great.
Yeah,
awesome.
And if I think we all learned stuff through the highs, through the lows, and it just shook out the way it did, and we just got to roll with it and keep going. I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to say, like to thank?
Yeah, I mean, I just like to thank everybody that supported us through this year. I mean, Transition Factory and George and Rachel, obviously Jack, Nick, Richie and Joakim, like everybody, and Steven, of course, everybody behind the scenes that you guys don't see what everybody does like on a day-to-day, but these dudes put their heart into their work, and everything they do is for the rider's best interest, and they definitely put their stuff aside to help make us feel more comfortable. And I couldn't appreciate that more because, it gives me the chance to do better. And just having a bit of like confidence in the room, even just like with everyone, there's never been like a time where I'm like, oh man, like I feel like I can't do this because you guys are always trying to lift me up, or one of you guys is always around to talk to. And it's been great. Like it's been good.
And you're an easy one, dude. I mean, geez, you go out to party and I say I'm gonna come get you, and I take a nap and I wake up and you're home, and I'm like, what kind of kid is this? I was like, if someone told me I had a certain amount of time to go out and party at his age, I would push it to the max. The absolute max. Yeah. I wake up, Lucas is already back, and I'm like, geez, man, I didn't even get to go pick him up or anything.
Had to get back, dude. We had to leave early in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. You're one of a kind, dude, and I really just wanted to shed light on you and your story and your it's just been so cool to watch and be a part of, and I hope. I can keep watching it.
Yeah, we'll continue, dude. No worries.
Yeah, man. All right, Vital Empty Beers. This has been the Inside Line. Thanks to Jensen USA. Thanks to Maxxis Tires. And thanks to you for listening. Lucas, I will catch you on the flip side.
Signing out.
Peace.